Predict, pick, and prevail in your fantasy football leagues with Nick Giacobbe and Nick Cap. From breakouts to busts, superstars to sleepers, these are the guys that will help you achieve fantasy glory. This is the PrimeTime Fantasy Podcast.
Welcome everybody to Season 2, Episode 32 of the PrimeTime Fantasy Podcast, where we give you our predictions, our picks, with the hopes that we help you prevail in Week 5 and the rest of the 2022 fantasy football season. I'm your host, Nick Giacobbe. Joining me is Nick Cap. Nick, Week 5, we're finally kind of talking about it, and we have injuries on top of injuries on top of injuries.
Yeah, this is a very interesting week for some. Some feel very hot riding into the playoffs, and some of us feel like there's nothing we could do to recover.
Yep, I'm on both sides of the coin
yes,
in about
sir.
half of my leagues, but that's okay. That's okay. If this is your first time listening to us, thank you so much. We do the show on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Since today is the Thursday show, it's injury updates from the Wednesday practice reports and a Thursday night football preview to see what your players are going to do on Thursday night football. Tomorrow's our Friday show. It's our biggest show of the week. We give you our all boom and all bust teams. We give you rapid fire flex players that you should start. We give you the injury updates heading into the weekend. It's a full long preview to get you ready for your weekend for Week 5. Then we do our live show Sundays, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, all podcast on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. It's 8:30 a.m. every weekend. We go for about an hour, answer all your fantasy questions. We hope to see you there on Sunday. It's going to lead right into the Thursday morning game in London between the Giants and the Packers. But if this is your first time listening and you enjoy the show, please subscribe on all audio platforms, whichever one you're listening on. If you're on Apple Podcasts, please give us a 5-star rating or a review. Same thing with Spotify. If you're listening on Anchor or Google Podcasts, that's awesome. Thank you so much. If you'd rather watch and listen to the show, all these episodes are uploaded to YouTube. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button on PrimeTime Fantasy Podcast. Drop a like on this video. Please keep connecting and interact with us on social media, PrimeTimeFFPod, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube, PrimeTime Fantasy Podcast. Getting into some injury news and updates. And listen, guys, there's not much here. Everybody's limited. Like, I have probably 20 injuries in the notes here. And then I'm actually going to show you here. I'm looking on my RotoWorld app, and there's like another 20 injuries that I'm going to mention just off the app because we don't even have it in the notes. So the first thing I want to say is if somebody was limited on practice on Wednesday, don't worry about it. These players have played 4 football games. Everybody has an injury. I think Joe Burrow was on Colin Cowherd's podcast this morning, and he basically said he's played through concussions and blacked out multiple times. So like everybody has injuries. It's the NFL. However, we will kind of highlight the ones that did not practice, especially if they didn't play last week. Then those are a little more worrisome. So first off, this is the big one. Jonathan Taylor is out for Thursday Night Football. He had a chance to play, but he does have a high ankle sprain. 4 days turnaround is just too quick. I think if the game was Sunday, he'd have a higher chance of playing, but it's Thursday. If you're a Jonathan Taylor owner, that sucks, but he's not going to play. It's probably better for the long term. And Nick, I don't know if you know this. I saw it on Twitter. I wish I had the stats in front of me, but Jonathan Taylor, through the first 4 weeks of both of his first 2 seasons, he wasn't great, like at all. He was bad through the first 4 weeks. So if you're a Taylor owner, don't freak out yet. Get through this week and see what happens.
Is he a good trade for candidate, you think?
Yep, 100%. Yep. I would look to trade for him 100%. I would love to get him on my team.
Okay.
Some other notes of Thursday Night Football. Russell Wilson, shoulder injury. He's good to go. He's the Iron Man. He's only missed like 4 games in his NFL career. Melvin Gordon's neck injury. He's off the final injury report. Good to go. That's all your Thursday Night Football stuff. So now let's get into Nick. I'm going to kind of weave around the notes here. I'm going to try to find everybody that did not practice Wednesday. So Rashad Bateman, foot injury, did not practice Wednesday. I think he left the game injured. I think
he left at I don't think he played the fourth quarter at all.
I don't think he did either.
Yeah.
He's a Sunday night game. So again, we'll see what happens Thursday and Friday. We're recording late Wednesday night. We'll see what happens Thursday and Friday. However, he does play Sunday night. So if he's a game time decision, you're not playing him. Jameis Winston did not practice Wednesday with a back injury. I think they're just going to run Dalton back out there. Michael Thomas did not practice again with a toe injury. That's a little worrisome. He has a great matchup against the Seahawks. They're pitiful against wide receivers. Whichever receiver starting for the Saints is getting started in your lineup. That's a little tease maybe for the all boom, all bust teams tomorrow. Who else didn't practice here? Isaiah McKenzie with a concussion did not practice. Big for Gabriel Davis. Keenan Allen with a hamstring did not practice again. He could miss his third straight game with that. Amon-Ra St. Brown did not practice with the ankle injury. That's not great for the Lions. DeAndre Swift did not practice with the shoulder. We expected that. Jahan Dotson didn't practice with the hamstring. Expected that. Probably not playing for another week. Patriots quarterbacks, Mac Jones did practice Wednesday. Brian Hoyer did not with a concussion. We'll see about that. This is alarming. Kyle Pitts did not practice with a hamstring injury. We know those linger, so that's alarming considering he hasn't played well so far. Dak Prescott did not practice with a thumb injury. He still isn't fully ready. Jalen Waddle did not practice Wednesday with a groin injury. He has a great matchup against Knicks Jets on Sunday.
Great. I don't know if I'd call it that.
Oh, it is great. It is great.
I don't know. Sauce and DJ Reed, top 2 corners in the league right now. They're playing like 2 top 5 corners. That cannot be denied.
I hope you're watching on YouTube to see my face. Waddle and Tyreek are still racking up close to 100 yards on that team. I'm just
with Teddy B?
Uh-huh. With
Maybe
Teddy
combined.
B.
I don't know.
Nope. I
That's sneaky upset.
If Waddle's healthy,
I said it last week.
If Waddle's healthy, they're mounting for like 180 yards.
I don't know. So sneaky upset.
Oh man. Tom Brady did not practice on Wednesday. He's nursing a broken heart. That's rough. I shouldn't say that.
That's mean.
He has a shoulder and a finger injury he tweaked his shoulder. I think it was in the fourth quarter of Kansas City's game. And I think Blaine Gabbert was throwing on the sidelines at the time. So we'll see about that one. Yeah. I'm going to comb through Roto World real quick, just to see anybody else that maybe didn't practice. I think Marquise Brown did not practice with a foot injury. He was questionable last week with the foot issue, and then he played. Let's see what else we got here. J.K. Dobbins did not practice Wednesday with a chest injury. I think this was the same injury he had last week, so I'm not super duper worried about that. Rashad Penny did not practice with a shoulder injury. That's another one. Okay, those are all the do not practices. Anybody that you're worried about at this point? Again, we kind of got to wait until tomorrow's show to really get into it. Okay, just Nick's acknowledging for the audio listeners.
Yeah,
Nick
yeah, I agree.
Okay, so now let's get into some limited practices because we're gonna mention them all just so you know. Alvin Kamara rib and injury practice limited on Wednesday. He didn't play in London, so that's a good sign. Gabriel Davis full practice with the ankle. That's a great sign.
Yep.
A
full practice on a Wednesday typically means you are very healthy.
Yes.
You rest your good players on Wednesday. That's like we've seen it happen with Christian McCaffrey. They're going to rest him every Wednesday for the rest of the year.
And on top of that,
off injury.
Gabriel Davis is a good matchup against the Steelers this week. So that's wonderful. Hunter Renfrow cleared concussion protocol. Finally, he practiced Wednesday. That means Matt Collins is off your rosters. Dalton Schultz was a full participant with a knee injury. That's great. Seems like the PCL's good. Chris Godwin with a knee injury was limited. This is a new injury, I think, or maybe it's the ACL. I don't know. That's different, but he was limited. T. Higgins was limited with an ankle injury. Not super duper worried about that. I'm just going to run through Roto World again. Joshua Palmer, ankle was limited in Wednesday's practice. He's going to be filling in for Keenan Allen if Allen misses the game. Jacoby Myers, ankle was limited in Wednesday's practice. Let's see if Alan Lazard was limited with his ankle in Wednesday's practice. I feel like he's been limited for like 4 weeks now. And TJ Hawkinson didn't practice on Wednesday with a hip injury. He had a big game. Here's one. This is an injury, but it's on Roto World. I asked about getting the ball to Allen Robinson. Rams coach Sean McVay said a lot of it is out of his control. Yeah, what's out of his control is that Matthew Stafford is tunnel vision and just looks at Cooper Kupp every single play. That's what's out of Allen Robinson's control.
He also looks at Tyler Higbee.
Yeah. Anyway, those are all of the injuries that we have to talk about. So we'll have a better update for you for Friday's show, but there's really not much we could take from Wednesday. So that's what we got. Moving on to our Thursday Night Football preview. We're going to give you projections for each star player and some not so star players. But anyway, we'll give you our projections and we'll let you know if they're over, under, or not. These projections are based on ESPN standard scoring PPR league, by the way. Let's start off with the quarterbacks. Danger Russell Wilson. Are you riding with him at 17.4 points?
I'm going to start by saying this. If there was ever a game to bet the under on this year, this might be the one.
Yeah, this is an under game for sure. This game's not going to be fun to watch. This is going to be like, crap. What was that really bad Denver game a few weeks ago? The 49ers one. That one was really bad too.
Yeah. They had what was week 1? They had a bad game against Seattle.
I feel like Denver's just an under team. They're not an exciting football team.
Not yet.
Well,
I'm gonna go with the under on Russ to hit 17. That's a couple touchdowns and a 300-yard game. So, and the Colts do have a pretty good defense from what we've seen so far.
They're middle of the pack against quarterbacks from what I'm seeing. I'll put the under as well because I think Melvin Gordon. I think the Broncos are only scoring 2 touchdowns in this game, maybe 3 if you're lucky, and one of them's going to go to Melvin Gordon. So, yeah. What about his quarterback counterpart Matt Ryan, 13.1?
It's a really low number, but I'm still going to go with the under. I think Matt Ryan has not been good at conserving the ball. He's going to have to pass a lot in this game, which might make up for the yards, but Denver's secondary is elite. They're going to be able to force some turnovers against Ryan. I don't like the Matt Ryan matchup this week. I wouldn't want to play him in any format. Yeah,
I'll go slightly under. However, I think they really have to throw the ball without Jonathan Taylor in there. Yeah. Melvin Gordon, 13.2. I think this is an over game. I think he get in the end zone, then gets you 50 yards or something, a couple receptions. I mean, you got to ride the hot hand. So, I mean, this is your hot hand now.
Yeah, I would go. I guess I'd go with the over as well on Gordon. I just don't think there's a lot of boom potential with Gordon. I think it's a safe floor from workload.
Yeah, I think that's fair. What about Nyheim Hines, 12.4?
Him, I'm going to take the over on because, like we said, Matt Ryan is going to throw a lot. I know Matt Ryan doesn't like to check down to the running back, but I don't think he's going to have a lot of time or a lot of options there. So I could see Nyheim Hines walking away with 10 targets this game. So I think Hines has a very good shot to hit that number.
I'm going to go under if he's not scoring a touchdown. It's just not enough for me. Next guy, Cortland Sutton, 16.1.
I'm still riding the yes on this. He has the most air targets and air yards in the league. They're looking for him deep. They're looking for him often. I love Sutton on the season. I've loved him this entire time. I'll take him on the over every single week that I can. I'm not going to shy away from this one.
I'm taking the under, 14 to 15 for me. We'll do the other Denver receiver, Jerry Jeudy at 11.3.
I'll also take the over here as well. I do think that they'll be able to get yards. The problem has been finding the end zone for Denver.
Did they both score last week, or they're just Sutton?
I think Sutton was the only one that found the end zone.
Just because I'm cynical, I'll take whichever one didn't score last week.
Gotcha.
I'll take Jeudy to score, so I'll say Judy's over.
Okay.
Michael Pittman, 14.3.
Same thing I just said about Hines. Pittman's going to have to walk out of this game with 10, 15 targets, so he's going to make up the number. I just don't know if it's going to be as big of a boom as you'll see in those Texans or Jaguars matchups that you would expect against this.
I will say over. However, the Colts can't. They have to score. They have to actually move the ball, and I don't know if they can because Matt Ryan looks worse than both Carson Wentz and Phillip Rivers did on the team.
Yeah.
How about Alec Pierce, 7.9?
I'll take over here as well. I think Matt Ryan is going to have to pass a lot. He's going to need to throw the ball 40, 50 times. So by virtue, with them being on the field and getting workload, they're going to accumulate enough numbers. I hit this. It's just not going to look pretty. It's not going to look like a pretty 10 points from Alec Pierce.
I'm going to take the under. I don't think he's very good.
It feels like a Corey Davis double-digit game where it's just off pure volume.
Well, I'm going to pivot this. We're going to go to the tight ends. Mo Ali Cox at 6.1. I'm taking the over because I think we're looking at a target share of Pittman to Hines to Mo Ali Cox. That's why I'm not taking Alec Pierce's number.
I'll go with the over as well. I mean, you're still not playing Mo Ali Cox, but
I don't know. He had 2 touchdowns last week. If you really need to stream a tight end,
but I don't think he's had more than 3 points in any game prior. No.
Yeah, probably not. How about this projection? Albert O, 1.8. He needs a reception.
1 catch for 10 yards. I'll take the over.
Yeah, I'll take the over on that too as well. So,
I love that
who would you say is going to be your MVP of this game if you had one?
MVP, someone that's not on this list. It is 100% the Denver Broncos defense in this game.
Okay. What about my MVP? I would say is Melvin Gordon if he does have a big enough game. How about a sleeper?
Nyheim Hines, as I said, I could see him walking out of this game with 10, 12 targets. I don't think it's going to look like a pretty game to watch, but points are points at the end of the day. You're not going to care how they're scored on Friday morning.
My sleeper is both kickers. How about a bust?
Oh no. Yeah. So the bust.
I'm busting Russell Wilson. Like he's had one good game at a 4.
Yeah.
17's a lot.
It would be rough.
If he goes out there and has over 20 points, then you know what? We could really give him a boost next week. But I haven't seen enough at this point. So, alrighty, guys. That's your Thursday Night Football preview, and that's our show today. Our Thursday shows are always short and sweet, and that's totally okay. With that said, we're gonna give you a really long show tomorrow, like we do every Friday. It's boom, all bust teams. Talk about all the injuries of the weekend, which ones are really going to affect your fantasy team, and weekly, or I should say, matchup-based flex plays to give you everybody that you could possibly play in your lineups. If you still have questions after that, join us Sunday mornings, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, just like this Sunday on our YouTube, our Twitter, or Facebook to answer all of your fantasy questions before your NFL Sunday kicks into gear. If you enjoyed this show and you're listening on an audio streaming platform, please subscribe, whether it's on iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, or Google Podcast. If you're on iTunes or Spotify, please give us a 5-star rating and a review. We would appreciate that. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button on this video and then hit that subscribe button on the Primetime Fantasy Football Podcast channel. Hit that little notification button so you never miss an episode. Thank you guys so much. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Enjoy Thursday Night Football.